417. So one thing that we did in chapter 4 is we classified the balance sheet, which means that we categorized assets and liabilities by how fast they're going to get used up or paid off. Okay, so we added in current assets, plant, property, and equipment, other long-term assets. We added in current liabilities and long-term liabilities. So this particular question just wants you to classify what things would be. All right, and here are our categories: current assets, long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, intangible assets, current liabilities, long-term liabilities, and stockholders' equity. If it doesn't go on the income statement, on the balance sheet, then put an X next to it. All right, so land used in operations would be property, plant, and equipment. The key here is that it's used in operations. All right, accumulated depreciation also goes into, I call this PP&E. That is also PP&E, plant, property, and equipment. Remember, it's a contra asset. You're going to subtract it from the others in there. All right, common stock is equity. This is revenue. It does not go on the balance sheet. It goes on the income statement. Investment in Starbucks Corporation to be held long-term. That's a long-term investment. Accounts receivable. I expect to collect that pretty fast, so it's a current asset. I certainly expect to collect it within a year. Equipment is plant, property, and equipment. Buildings are plant, property, and equipment. A note payable that's due in 10 years is a long-term liability. Unearned revenue is a current liability. Cash is a current asset. Accounts payable is a current liability. Prepaid rent is a current asset. Dividends don't go on the balance sheet. They end up being subtracted on the from retained earnings on the statement of retained earnings. So this will show up on the statement of retained earnings. Land held for investment purposes is a long-term investment. You can only put land in PP&E if it's being used in your operations. And depreciation expense goes on the income statement.